What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I thought I would show you a nice example of the kind of deck that you can look forward to facing up against at the Keyforge World Championships. You see, there was a Prime Championship in Sheffield this past weekend, and the lovely Ollie Hodge has sent me a message today, or yesterday, kind of both, showing me the winning deck from that Sheffield Prime Championships, and of course, the winner of a Prime Championship gets an invite to Worlds. Now, that doesn't mean they have to play this deck at Worlds, but shall we say it is a particularly good deck, with a particularly good name, Loathsome Virus Sandra. What a name, ladies and gentlemen. What a name. And this is a good deck. Now, one question that Ollie asked on the basis of this was, does that mean that from now on all the winning decks are going to have the Saurian Republic in? And although it does seem like we're heading in that direction, I need to do a bit more research before I'm willing to pull the trigger, as it were, and make such a statement. Although, let's be clear, the Saurian Republic is awesome. And let's also be clear, this deck is a phenomenal deck. Doesn't have very much creature control, but it's got very high expected amber, very high amber protection, and very high amber control. So you gain amber, you protect your amber, and you stop your opponent getting amber. In a game where your aim is to forge keys, and really the secondary aim is to, stop your opponent forging keys, that makes it pretty gosh darned good. So let's take a run through and see what we find, shall we? Now, we'll start off in Shadows. In Shadows, we are hoping for some amber control. We are hoping to be able to say to our opponent, oh, you're looking to forge a key, are you? Got it. And there is quite a lot of amber control on here. I mean, straight off the bat, we've got the number one. It's Too Much to Protect. Too Much to Protect is the best amber control we've got, I think at least. When you play it, you steal all but 6 of your opponent's amber. Now, the good news is you get to steal a lot of amber. The bad news is that you actually still leave your opponent on check, but we've got plenty of other stuff to take that last amber. We've got Ronnie Wristlocks that steals 1, but if your opponent's got 7 or more, you steal 2. So play it before you play Too Much to Protect. And we've got stuff like Yancey Gang that's got an action whereby you can steal an amber. We've got Dusk Runner, which has an upgrade that gives a creature the skill, when you reap, you steal an amber. We've got Mug that lets you move an amber from a creature to your pool and deal 2 damage to that creature. It doesn't steal per se, but it moves amber off of your creatures that your opponent would be able to take if they destroyed that creature, so, I'm kind of counting it. We've got Jay Vinder that deals 1 damage to a creature when you reap, and if you destroy that creature, you steal an amber. Yeah, this is pretty good, ladies and gentlemen. There is quite a lot of amber control. Elsewhere in Shadows, we've got 2 copies of Hidden Stash that lets you archive a card. Gives you an amber bonus too. To be fair, archiving is, it's not really what Shadows are known for. It's not the main goal of most Shadows decks, but that doesn't make it a bad thing. It's kind of fun. You archive cards, save them for later. Archive Too Much to Protect so you can pull it out on the perfect turn. We've got a copy of Hawk that lets you destroy an artifact, and if you do gain an amber, and you've got an amber just for playing it, this is great. You need artifact control in order to be able to shut your opponent down. Sometimes they'll be trying to play stuff like Heart of the Forest or trying to slow you down with stuff like Grunt Buggy. Yeah, just play this, and you'll be absolutely fine. Artifacts are the kind of things that can really shut down a deck that aren't prepared. This deck is prepared. Kaimor Eclipse shuffles each flank creature into its owner's deck, so you really want to try and pair this with creatures that have great coming into play abilities, like Ronnie Wristlocks. We've got Spike Trap, an artifact that gives you an amber bonus and has an Omni ability that lets you sacrifice it and deal 3 damage to each flank creature, but that is yours and your opponent's. And then we've got Scowly Caper, and I love Scowly Caper. Scowly Caper makes me very happy. It is a 2-power creature with Skirmish, and you play it onto your opponent's field, and they get to have it. It's theirs. But at the end of your turn, you destroy one of Scowly Caper's neighbours. But it's got skirmish, so they can't just throw it at one of your creatures. That's kind of hilarious. I like Scowly Caper. So we've got shadows and shadow steals, and that's what we're expecting. But what about this whole Saurian Republic thing? It's just a really good house. It's got some expected amber. It's got a bit of amber control. It's got a bit of speed and efficiency. It's got pretty much what we're looking for. So we've got Chant of Hubris, gives you an amber bonus. As a side note, there are 14 bonus amber on these cards. That is high. And you get to move an amber from a creature to another creature. This is important because the Saurian Republic like to exalt, as in put an amber on it from the common pool. So you put an amber on it from the common pool if you need to. We'll get to ones that do in a moment. And then you move it to one of your opponent's creatures, destroy that creature, and you get the amber. Imperium gives you an amber bonus, lets you ward 2 friendly creatures. That is to say, you put ward counters on them, and if they would be damaged, destroyed, or otherwise removed from play, you remove the ward counter, and the creature stays. It's a phenomenal card. Library of Polyosaurus lets you move an amber from a friendly creature to your pool. So if you've captured or exalted, over it goes. I know, right? We've got Odoak the Patrician. When you play it, you capture an amber. Bearing in mind, we got multiple ways to then move that to your pool. And while you have amber on, your amber cannot be stolen. So you're going to try and keep at least 1 amber on Odoak the Patrician, so that you can then guarantee that your amber can never be stolen, and you just completely shut down stealing decks. That's quite ridiculous. Orator Hasaro's got Deploy. That is to say, you can put it anywhere you like on your battle line, and you ready and exalt each of your neighbours, and for the remainder of the turn, they belong to House Saurian. So you can either ready Saurian creatures and use them, or you can use already ready creatures from other houses. And again, the exalting sounds bad, but with Library of Polyosaurus, and that is an artifact, so it's an every turn thing, and things like Chant of Hubris, we've got ways around it. Primus Unguis gives each friendly creature a +2 power for each amber on Primus Unguis, and when you reap, you exalt it. So you could potentially move a bunch of amber over here to make all of your creatures super powerful, although your opponent will then go after it. Questajata's got elusive, so the first time it's attacked each turn, nothing happens, and when you reap, you may exalt Questajata to gain an extra amber. And even if your opponent does destroy it and get that amber, you get an amber now, your opponent might get an amber in the future. That sounds fine by me. Retor Galim says that your opponent's keys cost 3 more amber during the next turn when you play it, and when you reap, you can exalt Retor Galim to make your opponent's keys cost +3 during their next turn. And this is what the really good decks do. We've got all the brilliant stealing in shadows, but we've also got stuff like this in the Saurian Republic, so no matter which house we choose, we can slow our opponent down and stop them reaping. That's kind of fun. Senator Shrix lets you spend amber on it as if it were in your pool, and when you play or reap, you may exalt her. And then, of course, you can just spend the amber on her when you're forging a key. That's kind of fantastic. And then we've got 2 copies of Trisaurian Legionary. 5 power, 1 armor, with Taunt. So the neighbours can't be attacked, you have to go after Trisaurian Legionary. Great for saving creatures you really want to save, like, for instance, Yancey Gang. And when you play, you get to ward a friendly creature. Between the 2 of them and Imperium, that's quite a lot of warding. And this Saurian house suite really does have a lot of stuff. You're increasing keys, you're warding, you're moving amber around. It's a very good suite. There is also a copy of Imperial Scutum here. It is an upgrade that gives the creature +2 armor. And then when that creature is destroyed, you move each amber on this creature to the common supply. So a creature that's exalted a whole bunch, when it gets destroyed, instead of your opponent getting the amber like they should, it goes to the common pool. But it's not good enough to just have one of the new houses. This deck has both of the new houses. We've got Star Alliance. And we got some really good cards. Lay of the Land lets you look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put them back in any order, and then draw a card. Really, it just lets you draw the top card out of the top 3, so you really choose the one that you want more than the others. That really is a great thing. We don't see this very much in Keyforge. Stealth mode stops your opponent playing action cards on their next turn. That seems like it could be pretty disruptive. Transporter platform returns a friendly creature and each upgrade attached to it to your hand. Well, I've already told you about Duskrunner, and I've already told you about Imperial Scutum, and there are more in the Star Alliance. This deck actually has 5 upgrades. The average has 1. And this is big, because you can really take advantage of them. Now, annoyingly, they don't all have Amber bonus. Duskrunner doesn't, Imperial Scutum does. The other 3 are Quadricorder, Light of the Archons, and Force Field, so essentially 3 of your 5 do have Amber bonuses. But if you can get the 3 with Amber bonuses all on the same creature, you can use Transporter Platform to then put that creature back into your hand, which puts all the upgrades back in your hand. It wouldn't usually, but it does because it says so. And then you get to play them again to redo the Amber. I mean, if you can get Force Field and Light of the Archons on the same creature, essentially you play them down, get 2 Amber, use Transporter Platform, and then play them down to get another 2 Amber. Not to mention that Light of the Archons gives a creature +1 power and +1 armor for each upgrade on it. Much better in an upgrade heavy deck. Quadricorder makes your opponent's keys cost +1 amber for each house represented amongst friendly creatures, to a maximum of 3. So if you've got all 3 houses' creatures out, their keys cost +3. And again, it's kind of like Retor Galim. You're increasing the cost of their keys. And then Force Field gives a creature Reap, ward this creature. More warding. That's ridiculous. We've got Chief Engineer Wolves that has Elusive, and when you play, fight, or reap, you may return an upgrade or robot card from your discard pile to your hand. Oh look, more great cards that interact with upgrades. It's not just that this deck does a little bit of everything, though it does. It is that there are so many ridiculous combos. I mean, according to decksofkeyforge.com, it's got +21 synergy. You don't see +21 synergy. There's so much synergy here, it actually kind of hurts a bit. And it's not always perfectly reliable, but I'm going through the deck here and I'm showing you this has nut synergy. Comm Officer Kirby is a phenomenal card. When you play, fight, or reap, you may play a non-Star Alliance artifact, upgrade, or action this turn. Not creature, but anything else. And it is this turn, so it does not have to be immediate. First Officer Frayne lets a friendly creature capture an amber when you play, fight, or reap. And of course, we know that capturing amber, you can parlay that in this deck. Helmsman Spears, when you fight or reap, you discard any number of cards from your hand and draw that number of cards. Doesn't give you a card advantage, but it lets you cycle cards you don't want for the hope of drawing cards that you do. Makes your deck faster and more consistent. Psionic Officer Lang, after an enemy creature reaps, you archive the top card of your deck. More archiving to go with Hidden Stash. And of course, if you can build up a big archive, you can have a monster turn when you pick up your archive, and then you can play all of those cards, or at least all the ones from your active house. And Sensor Chief Garcia, when you play, or fight, or reap, keys cost +2 amber during your opponent's next turn. Seems like that would go very, very nicely with Quadricorder, and you've just got really good You Shall Not Forge options in all 3 of your houses. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this is a rather phenomenal deck with a lot of good cards and a lot of good synergy, and you can see why it won a Prime Championship. It's a pretty good deck. And it gives a nice example of the kind of decks that might get you an invite to the Keyforge World Championships. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that's my take on the deck, but I would be very excited to hear what you think about the deck. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, and do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of good stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.